Today I'm going to actually be talking about a Gnostic prayer book. Now, this Gnostic prayer book is in millions of homes. I'm dead serious. This Gnostic prayer book is in millions of homes. The prayer book that I am actually talking about is Jesus Calling.
In our church, we've had a variety of things that have happened over the years, including some difficult things, some wonderful things, some opportunities to reach out to our community in powerful ways. And recently, I just realized that probably for the past 5 years, undergirding all of that has been the book Jesus Calling. 5 years ago, some women in our church started reading Jesus Calling and talking about it, and that's when I first became aware of it. I began hearing in the congregation people sharing about Jesus Calling and about how it had helped them personally in their different struggles. I heard groups talking about having the book and that they were studying it together or looking at it together.
Jesus Calling has given me hope that I never had before.
To me, Jesus Calling has been like my own personal trainer, and it's just helped me to endure many things that have come up in my life.
It helps me understand I can see God in everything if I take the time to stop and listen and look.
Jesus Calling has affected me personally by reminding me how important it is to share God's love with others and how important it is to just sit down every day and just spend time with God.
I was 4 years old when my mom was diagnosed with brain cancer. The impact Jesus Calling had on my mom was very immense. Every day she had a new passage to look forward to that would help her get through the day and just stay strong.
I've heard stories of people really going into the Word after Jesus Calling led them there, and I think anytime we can get people into the Word in a way that they know equips them for real life, then we've done our job.
There is a lot of money to be made with all of the Jesus Calling paraphernalia. You have the Jesus Calling Study Bible, and you have Jesus Always. You have the Jesus Calling book for children. It's just crazy. You can walk into a Walmart, and right there in Walmart, and I took a picture of it actually, right there in the Walmart book area is Jesus Calling, Jesus Always, and Jesus Calling devotional journal or whatever it is that you write in. And it's right there. And also, Hobby Lobby. You walk in the Hobby Lobby and right by the registers, at least the Hobby Lobby up here, you walk right by the registers, cash registers, and there is a little bookshelf with all of these different Christian books on them. And guess what? The one in the main center of the the middle shelf, right in the center, is the Jesus Calling books. So everything in Jesus Calling, all of these 365 little messages that Sarah Young received from Jesus, supposedly, came out of prayer journaling. Where did she hear these messages? Through her meditation time, through her prayer time, which makes Jesus Calling a Gnostic book. But anyway, this is what I plan to do with this episode. I want you to take a listen to some things by a Gnostic instructor. And I want you to hear the similarities between what this Gnostic is saying and what Jesus Calling says. And we'll be looking at some catchphrases from Gnosticism. And some of those phrases are actually in the book, Jesus Calling. So I'm going to just show you how Jesus Calling is a Gnostic book. It really is. But anyway, before we even get started there, what I'd like to do is I'd like to play a little clip for you from a popular Christian artist, a popular female Christian speaker. Okay? And so I'd like you to just kind of take a guess who this lady is, all right? And then I'll let you know who it is in just a moment. But first, here's the clip. Listen to the clip.
You know how sometimes you pray and you're like, oh, God, I really would like to, and you say like, move. I really don't want to be in this place that I'm living anymore. I prayed that for many years, by the way. And please, God, just, I'd rather really want to go into the nice countryside. I don't want to live in the city. I want to be on a nice, in the forest. And I prayed that. And I actually tried to make it happen. And every time I tried, God would always bring me back to where I am. He'd make it like not possible for me to go out. And I'm like, come on, God, I just want to go in the forest. I just want fresh air. I don't want to be in the city anymore. And I did that for a while. And afterwards, I realized that this is where I needed to be. Who am I going to teach in the forest? Squirrels? I do like squirrels, but I don't think they're going to get what I'm talking about. Like, who am I going to see? Who am I going to encounter there to help? The city, we have a lot of people who need help, right? And what kind of tests will I receive out there? How will I progress? Here in the city, you're tested every day, in every single way, right? But there I am meditating under the oak tree, nothing bothering me, so God said, okay, look, this is where you need to be. Just trust me. I have a plan. And that's hard when you want something very badly, right? Trust me, I have a plan. And now, after many years and, hindsight, I see the whole plan and I'm like, oh God, sorry, God, I didn't trust you. Yeah, I was like, I was complaining and I didn't see. Now I get the whole plan. But when it's happening, you suffer. Who's suffering, right? That part of me that wanted something else was suffering greatly. And so we need to trust that God knows what's necessary for us.
So, let me ask you, who was that popular evangelical female Christian speaker? Well, you can eliminate Joyce Meyer because she has a raspy voice, so it's not her. You can eliminate Beth Moore and maybe Ann Graham Lotz because of the Southern accent. So how about if you guessed Stormy O. Martin? You were wrong. But if you guessed Kay Arthur, you're still wrong. And by the way, I'm only kidding. I tricked you. Please don't be mad at me. Please don't be angry with me. That was not a Christian speaker. Nope, not at all. That was a pagan Gnostic instructor from over at GnosticTeachings.org. And she was doing a podcast, or not podcast, and well, it is in the form of a podcast, but she was doing a lecture on a Gnostic prayer book. And I will put that link in the blog because I'm going to be putting this up on the blog. So I'll put the link to that full lecture. It's about an hour and a half, maybe, something like that. Maybe closer to 2 hours. I can't remember for sure. But when I was listening to that lecture and she said some of the things that she said in there, I thought to myself, holy cow, that sounds just like it could have come out of Jesus Calling or some other evangelical book. I mean, I'm not kidding. It really, really sounds like it. As a matter of fact, I'll bet you had no idea that that was a Gnostic instructor. If you were just driving in your car and you flipped on the radio and that little clip was playing, you would think you were listening to a Christian radio station. I mean, seriously. So now I'm going to play another clip for you by the same woman. And let me just tell you, I don't know who this lady is, by the way. And I'll tell you why. Because these Gnostic instructors, and there are several of them on this website, they will not give any of their information out, who they are, where they're from, nothing. They want to be anonymous. They want to remain anonymous. So you're not going to be able to look, at least on that website, and find out who they are. Now, I think I did some digging, And I think I know who this lady is, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to say her name. And it wouldn't matter anyway. It probably wouldn't matter anyway. But anyway, she sounds just like a Christian speaker. And so what I want to do now is I want to play another clip by her. And I want you to try to pick out, it's a short clip. Try to pick out, let me get my finder back up here. All right. So try to pick out the Gnosticism in this statement. All right. So here's the next clip. All right. And this is still going to sound kind of Christian. Okay. So here we go.
In Jesus said in Matthew 6:6, when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. And what do you think when Jesus says this? Go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father. What does that sound like? Sounds like your meditation practice, doesn't it? Go to your room. Pray. God is waiting for us to come to meet him every day. Once in a gift that I received through a meditation, I asked questions to my God in prayer. And the message that he gave me, you know what he said? Little by little, I will reveal myself to you, but you need to meet me here every day. And that was like whoa, okay. And then, some days I meet him there, and other days I go, God, I'm so tired, and I fell asleep through my meditation, or God, I'm so busy, and I have to constantly remember that. Meet me here every day, and I will reveal myself to you little by little. And that's what it is. That's prayer.
So did you hear the Gnosticism there? Okay, what is the first thing that she says? She says, when Jesus says to go into your room, she says, what does that sound like? Sounds like your meditation practice. And the contemporary Gnostics are big, and I don't want to just say the contemporary Gnostics, but Gnostics, the Gnostics that I've listened to on these lectures and in these articles that I've read by them, and some of the books that I've read, or that I haven't read full books, but, parts of these books that I've read, they're big on meditation. Big on meditation. As a matter of fact, this podcast that I listen to called Gnostic Teachings, that comes from this same site, they have over 15, I think they have 15 specific episodes just focused on meditation alone. Just on the one topic of meditation. That's not including the other episodes on meditation that they have. They have 3 or 4 other ones, but they have 15 just dedicated to meditation. And like I said, these episodes are a good hour and a half, 2 hours long, some of them. So they are really serious about meditation. So she said, it sounds like your meditation practice. Which, by the way, that's how Sarah Young received her messages from Jesus, was through her meditation practices. Okay, through her prayer time is what she called it, but she also calls it meditation as well. But anyway, so that was the first thing, the meditation practice. What was the second thing you noticed? She said that she was praying. She said, I was praying to my God. Okay? She wasn't speaking about the God of the God of Scriptures at all. She was speaking about her God. And it doesn't matter what you name that God, because the God she's talking about is the divine spark that these Gnostics say dwells within every single human being without exception. Every human being has a divine spark living inside of them. But that divine spark is asleep. And so only those who have been awakened can receive gnosis or knowledge from this divine being, this divine spark that is within each, that is within us. So a person spends a long time learning meditation and meditation practices in order to go in what's called consciousness. And once they go into consciousness, then they are awakened. They are awakened, and that divine spark can then begin to give them gnosis, give them knowledge, speak to them, guide them on the path of life. And it does not matter what you call that divine being within you. Okay, that divine being can be Jesus. That divine being can be Buddha. If it's a female, if it's a goddess, you can call it Isis. Call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. It is your divine self is what they say. It's your divine self that guides and leads you. Self with a capital S. So the divine self, the divine being, calling it Jesus, Buddha, whatever, that is that spark that is within you that needs to be awakened. And once it is awakened through meditation, then you'll be able to receive gnosis, knowledge, wisdom, to guide you on the path of life. It sounds really new agey, and that's because it is, because Gnosticism is very synchronistic. It takes from all kinds, all different religions. If you think of Gnosticism kind of like maybe a big pot of soup, right? So you're going to make this big pot of soup called Gnostic soup, all right? So you take a little Christianity. These are your ingredients here. So you throw a little Christianity in there. You take some Hinduism. You throw it in there. You take some Buddhism. You throw that in there. You take you take some occult stuff and you throw that in there. A little magic, a little astrology, a little spiritualism, and maybe some extrasensory perception and numerology. Gnosticism is very eclectic. It's a mixture of all of these different ingredients, all of these things that, all of these teachings from all of these different religions. So, that's what she's talking about when she's talking about her God. Okay, when she says, when I pray to my God, she wasn't talking about the God of Scripture. So, my question is, she's experiencing something, right? She's going into her room. She's closing the door. And this God of hers is speaking to her. At least she believes this God of hers is speaking to her. So what is the difference between this and Sarah Young's meditation practices? How does Sarah Young, or anybody who does what Sarah Young does, how do they know that it is Jesus that is speaking to them? The Gnostics are doing the same thing. The only way you can know for certain, with 100% certainty, that God is actually speaking to you, is by opening up the Bible and reading it. That's it. You know for a fact that God is speaking to you when you read His Word, when you're sitting under the preaching and teaching of the Word of God. Then you can be for sure. You know for sure. But you don't know for sure by sitting in a quiet room and listening to that quote-unquote still small voice that's in your head. You can't know that for sure. Because the God that this lady prays to speaks to her. That being that she prays to speaks to her. As a matter of fact, the next clip I'm going to pray, I'm not going to pray the clip for you. I am not going to pray it. I'm going to play it. All right. So the next clip that I'm getting ready to play, she actually says that she writes down what her God says to her, what her being says. So let me just, and you'll really be able to hear the Gnosticism in this clip. So let me go ahead and play that for you right now.
So like I was saying to you, when I was in that meditation, and I really think it was a gift that my being gave me, because he spoke to me so clearly. It was like a window had opened and he spoke. And it was actually very interesting because it happened on the Dalai Lama's birthday a couple of years back. And it was as if I could hear him so clearly. And he told me some things that I really needed to know. That is Gnosis. That was experiencing my being. And I wrote down everything after that experience because it was like such great teachings that I got. And then that clarity, I get what they say in the Bible when they say, and God spoke to Abraham and God spoke to Moses. You think like this booming voice comes out from the sky. No, it's not like that. It's like God spoke to Moses. God spoke to Abraham.
All right, so the definition of Gnosis. Gnosis is the practical, fact-based knowledge of consciousness that guides us to our full potential of innate happiness. The knowledge we acquire through our own experience, as opposed to knowledge that we are told or believe in. Gnosis is conscious, experiential knowledge, not merely intellectual or conceptual knowledge, belief, or theory. That comes right off of GnosisTeachings.org, and that is the definition for Gnosis. And you notice what she said there. It was her being that spoke to her, and her being gave her such great information that she had to write it down. Sound familiar? Yeah. The Gnostics do the same thing.